Okay, now Pa1 B, start with main. Um, we've already talked about kill thread, fail thread, and coordinator thread in Pa1 A. So let's start with playback thread now. So here I define a state enumeration including three states: initialize, play, and complete. And there's two queues are defined in this class, namely the in queue communicating with coordinator thread, and then play queue who's in charge for communicating with wave buffer. And in wave buffer we have there are three types of wave commands. The first one I believe is wave fill command, and it will be stored in queue, and here we take 2k data address from the coordinator thread and store the data into the wave buffer and delete the command itself to free the memory. The second command is wave play command. We simply call the start function and uh, of wave buffer to submit data to the operating system for the audio playback. Uh, Last one is wave complete command. Wave complete wave in wave play command and wave complete command. I believe they both store in play queue, and we call the refill buffer function of playback thread to refill the data and give it to wave buffer. Now let's go back to playback thread and to the overload operator function. So um, now here we create the array of wave buffer thread pointers. Save 20 wave buffer thread as requirement. We initialize the wave buffer thread here. Take their name, and since they are newly created wave buffers, it must be empty. So we put it into enqueue queue, and the coordinator will fill it with data. So after we initialize, we change the state to play, and when the state is play, we loop the read command in play queue and execute them. If uh, So if all the buffer data has been played, we modify the state to complete, and if the state is complete now, there's no command to execute in play queue. We jump out the loop, uh, queue out the thread, and freeze memory. Yep. So now let's take a look at the wave buffer thread. Still same. So the wave buffer thread has four status: complete, play, ready, and empty. Uh, let's go to the operator. So um, when our buffer is empty, it means that there's no data in current buffer. We wait for the coordinator to fill the data for us, and for the ready, if our buffer is ready, we put the wave play command in play queue, waiting for the playback thread to trigger the playback, and we change the state to buffer play. Now, if our buffer is complete with play, we put the wave complete command into the play queue, wait for playback thread to trigger the refill. Uh, Now, here's how we refill the buffer. In this function, of course, we have the mutex lock to avoid, what's that? The data change problem. So, and the call memory copy function, so that our buffer will be refilled with raw buffer here. Set the status to buffer ready and send a notify. Yeah. down to the transfer function. Um, this function will be called by playback thread, and it will send the data to operating system. And yeah, the last I think the last thing I want to talk about is wait with auth callback. Yeah, uh, where is it? Yeah. So nothing crazy here. The number of waves will increase by one once wave buffer thread submit a buffer, and reduce one after it play once. So when the number of waves equals to 0, it means all buffer have been played and our playback is over. And so we set the status of complete to true, and call back the complete method of the buffer thread. Um, and I think that's it.